Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm going to be telling you all about the books that I've already read in the first half of August. And basically, it's only August 6th right now as I'm filming this, and I've already finished 4 books because a couple of them are ones that I was already starting at the end of last month. And I'm holding my cat here because he's going to fight my other cat if I let go of him, but I don't want to not have him in my room because then he'll wreak havoc out there. So he's chillin' and being a mew. And the rest of my TBR for the month is all like whole series that I can talk about in one go. So it's not like my TBR, my wrap up video at the end of the month is going to be like too long because I'm filming this one now. So I figured why not film this one now. First, I finished Sheep Farmer's Daughter by Elizabeth Moon. This is the first book in the Deed of Paxenarian trilogy, which features an asexual badass warrior chick. And I just loved the fact that the ace representation in this is pretty good from what I can tell. Like, she's she is actually asexual, even though it doesn't use that word on the page. Just because, like I was kind of afraid that they'd basically just be saying that because she doesn't have a love interest for the duration of this book. And because she like runs away from a forced marriage at the beginning of the book. And I really liked the fact that the narrative really does suggest that she is in fact asexual, and it seems like she might be aromantic as well because it kind of suggests that she's never been interested in anybody at all. They even ask her if she's into women instead of men because it's pretty clear that she's not into men, and she's like, well, I don't think so, but I don't know. So it's like she doesn't really like anybody at all. So it'll be really interesting to read the rest of this series at some point and see kind of how it progresses. But I did feel like, obviously in keeping with what most 80s fantasy kind of does, it is very episodic with a lot of pretty flat characters. I do wish that this book had been a little bit less like misogynistic though, as far as like the male characters go, because the main character Paxenarian is judged severely for being a woman a lot of the time, even though like women warriors in this world aren't super uncommon. So I kind of wish that maybe that hadn't been the case, but overall I really liked this book. It's a really great example of an asexual main character in a high fantasy. Next, I read Rivals for the Crown by Kathleen Gibbons, and this follows the story of two best friends named Rachel and Isabel in the 1200s in England and Scotland, and basically they are torn apart when the Jews have to leave England because Rachel is Jewish and she has to leave with her family. And basically it also follows basically these two Scottish guys who are cousins, and they are interested in like each of the girls, basically. So I thought that this book was a little bit of a letdown, and not just because the title and summary heavily imply that Rachel and Isabel are going to be rivals for the crown in some way because a queen dies. And that does not happen at all. It has nothing, the book has absolutely nothing to do with anybody being rivals for the crown whatsoever. But anyway, that's not why I didn't really like this book. I just thought, like, it wasn't bad, I just personally wasn't a fan of it, and a lot of the reason why is just because I didn't buy the relationships in this. So basically, first of all, we have two love stories in this book that both kind of follow the whole thing about insta love and then not seeing each other for like 3 to 5 years. They still are like so in love even though they barely knew each other before. So I kind of thought that was weird. I thought realistically that would not happen. There was just a lot that didn't work for me. And then also the conflict mostly revolved around this dude who like was trying to like threaten Isabel into sleeping with him pretty much, and then 2 years later he's still like, when she runs away she like fakes her own death so she can get away from him, but then 2 years later he's still scouring the country trying to hunt her down. And it's like, really? Like, nobody has that much of a one-track mind. Like, I'm pretty sure since he's a dude who has raped like tons of women, like, he would have found other victims and forgotten about Isabel and, like, all kinds of stuff. Like, he has better stuff to do anyway, because he's an advisor to the king. Like, he doesn't need to run around the whole country looking for, like, the one girl that, like, got away or something. It didn't make any sense. And that was, like, what most of the conflict was about. And then also just the romance sort of in both of Isabel's and Rachel's like love stories just really didn't work for me, and in particular Isabel's, because she actually has like a lot of like kissing scenes and sex scenes and stuff where I started skimming over it because I just didn't care. But basically there was so much stuff about like she couldn't help but notice how male he was, and I was like, ew, gross, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, maybe it's because I'm really not attracted to men, but I don't really want to think about how male somebody is. Like, thank you very much for reminding me that, like, men have male bodies. Like, ew, I don't really want to think about that. That's gross. Belle technically has two love interests in this, and what the other one, the not the Scottish dude, but like the other one, refers to the Scottish dude as like his rival multiple times in this book, and I kind of thought, like, dude, fighting over, just because you're fighting over like this same chick that you both barely know does not make you rivals. Like, I'm sorry. So I personally just was not a fan of this. I guess if you really like historical fiction, maybe you would be into this. I can see how some people might enjoy it more than I did, but personally, like, if you're looking for historical fiction recommendations, I would be quicker to recommend a lot of other ones before I would recommend this one. Next, I listened to an audiobook, and that was A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. And basically, this is a book that I tried to read when I was 9 years old, and I was reading it for a book report, and I somehow just, I remember barely being able to get through a third of it when I was 9 years old, like in time to do the projects for the book report. So I just kind of closed that book and used a book I'd already read for the purposes of the book report, and then forgot all about A Wrinkle in Time. And basically, yeah, so it took me this long to finally read A Wrinkle in Time. But anyway, I'm glad that I did. It's really awesome. I think that the reason that I wasn't so into it when I was 9 was basically not because it's really advanced for children and really like intelligent, but because of like the social dynamics of it. So basically, I think I probably wondered why the heck Calvin was telling Meg that she had dreamboat eyes. Like, my 9-year-old self would never have been able to grasp that, like, oh, they like each other, hello subtext, or any of that stuff. I would have just been like, who says that? That's such weird dialogue. Anyway, I really liked this book. I thought it was awesome, and I'm definitely going to continue with the series. The other audiobook that I finished this month already is Thick as Thieves by Megan Quaylen Turner, and that is the fifth and most recent installment in the Queen's Thief series. And I think this one was probably my least favorite of the series so far, because as you guys know, like, this series is literally my new favorite books, I kid you not. And basically, like, compared to the second and third book, like, the fourth and fifth one are a little bit of a letdown, just because they're not as like freaking amazing, but I still gave both of them 5 stars, and so I still really liked this one for its like ingenuity and everything, and just how intelligent it is and all of that stuff. But I think it was my least favorite in the series, just because I feel like part of it has to do with the fact that we follow a different main character from either the first 3 books or the fourth one, and it's actually a character we don't meet earlier in the series at all, so that kind of confused me a little bit. But so that just kind of took a little bit of getting used to, and most of the book is kind of just traveling and whatnot, with some conflict thrown in here and there. But like by the end, I was like mind blown. I was like, this book is still so genius. I still want to give it 5 stars. It's amazing. So I still really liked it, and I love the crap out of this series. So these 2 plus the 2 audiobooks, this cat is biting my face, are the books that I finished in the first 6 days of August. I'm gonna say for all intents and purposes that that's the first half of August, because too freaking bad. Let me know what you've read so far this month, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!